I still have to pee. Hello there. Welcome in. It's 12:04. May I be the first to say good afternoon. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show until 3 o'clock or thereabouts on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Allow me, if you will, to get the pleasantries out of the way, and we'll get this thing lumbering under its own weight. It's episode 397 of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. It is Friday, August 11th. You probably knew that. You can watch us. You can listen to us on a variety of different platforms, and we encourage you to do just that. You can go over to 997WTN.com and find all sorts of streaming platforms. Really, anywhere you stream stuff, you can stream us. You can also find us on Super Talk TV. That's Facebook, Twitter. If I do it wrong, I screw it up. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, you can look at my ugly mug over there and communicate with us via the F&M Bank chat line, which is up and running as always. Also up and running, the super text line and the telephone lines. I always love taking telephone calls from you, particularly on First Amendment Freestyle Friday. We need something for that. We got bum, 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 bum. Maybe if I told you. You're so good. That's so good. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to your First Amendment Freestyle Friday on the Matt Murphy Radio program. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So lots to get into. I've got Cameron Sexton coming up at 1 o'clock to talk about the special session. He's the Speaker of the House, of course, and to answer charges that he's just being a minion for the left. That Cameron and Jack Johnson and Bill Lee, according to Gary Humble with Tennessee Stands, all of this is a ruse to take away your guns. That's what Tennessee Stands says. The true, real conservatives down there in wherever Gary lives, Williamson County. So Cameron will talk about that, what we might see accomplished and what we will not see in the form of red flag laws. That's coming up at 1 o'clock today. Friday will descend upon us at 2 o'clock today. We're looking forward to a conversation with Jay St. Clair, especially considering this special counsel nonsense that broke about 30 minutes ago. Jason wants to know, before we go there and do any of that, Mac Maury will be back after a brief lunchtime out in the newsroom gathering headlines, and we've got Friday Mac Attack today as well. Bel K is behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. He does great work in that regard. Bel, the listening audience demands to know.
Yeah.
In the form of Jason on the super text line, Bel, did you get a car?
Yeah. I told him yesterday. He and I talked about it on the text line. I got another Escape.
Oh. Well, Jason is acting as if you did not. He said it's very important that he knows this
Thanks for
information.
ignoring my text, Jason. That's really nice.
You know, now
if I come hang out with you
Now
anymore.
I'm beginning to understand what you're doing in there. When you look all busy, you're having these interpersonal communications with the super texters.
No, I'm not. I'm playing Candy Crush.
Oh. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I would be playing. Well, I actually do sometimes during the show. Anyway, so let's dive into this, and I'm going to try to not. I'm going to attempt to not get too worked up. I know. So Merrick Garland will be lauded, praised by mainstream legacy media, the alphabet soup media, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNBC, MSNBC, The Washington Post, and New York Times et al. Will lavish praise on the completely nonpartisan, non-biased, straight as an arrow Department of Justice in the form of the AG's office, Merrick Garland, because look what he did here. He saw an issue, and without regard for his boss or his boss's son, he believes in that one-tier system of justice, inasmuch as he has now appointed a very special counsel in order to investigate further Hunter Biden and all of the accusations of wrongdoing against him. Congratulations to Merrick Garland, the mainstream media will say, for being that beacon of justice, virtue, and equal treatment under the law that we never got during the Trump administration, that we never get from any Republicans. Thank goodness there's someone as virtuous and wise as Merrick Garland, so as to set out on this course to get to the truth of what Hunter did and what he didn't do. Oh, let's give him a round of applause. Merrick Garland deserves all the applause we can possibly give him for being so. Thank you. Thank you, please. It's such a load of garbage. My first thought when we found out that the Justice Department, the Justice Department dropped their plea deal with Hunter Biden. Did you guys know that? So now there's no more plea deal on the table. Why should there be a plea deal on the table when we can drag this thing out for another 2 years? My first thought on this matter, and I'm curious if you want to call in on it, if you have any thoughts on it. So the news is straight up that Merrick Garland announced today that he's appointing an official special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden, and that appointment will be in the form of David Weiss. David Weiss is the Delaware prosecutor that has been investigating Hunter Biden. He was the architect of the plea deal with Hunter Biden. The plea deal that was stymied in court about a month ago or so, several weeks ago, in which the judge smelled a rat because they wanted to claim that the investigation was ongoing, but they also wanted to give Hunter Biden blanket immunity for anything they find during an investigation that they claimed was ongoing. Well, they had to claim the investigation was ongoing so as not to hand over all of this evidence to the Oversight Committee in the form of James Comer. Y'all with me so far? So you got to do something different. You didn't get your plea deal. You didn't get Hunter off the hook for any and all future crimes. You didn't stop that investigation, so now you have to pretend that you're continuing with the investigation. And you get to run out the clock in the process. Number two, I thought, guys, I'm getting older. I'll be 50 in 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks today, as a matter of fact. Is that right? How old will you be, Belle? You've got a birthday in like 2 weeks, right? When's your birthday?
21st.
Oh, yeah, 10 days.
Max on the 25th.
Yeah, there you go. Old enough to know better?
No.
At least you're still honest. Anyway, yeah, the trifecta. Yours truly and Belle K. And send your cards and letters, care of 10 Music Circle East. So
I prefer large bills.
As I prefer any bills. Anything you want to give me.
Ask for a large.
Should I?
Ask for a large.
I feel like that's too much.
Large.
Give Belle large bills. Give me, whatever you want. Or nothing at all. By the way, I missed I missed Nashville's morning news this morning with Dan Mandis.
Squirrel.
Was there any response? Someone on the super text line will be able to tell me if Dan had any response to the fact that I acquiesced to our competition. I gave up. I gave him the victory. We were competing to see who could buy the most drinks for people at J Street Korean Grill and Bar, which is a fabulous establishment. If you've not seen that video that Chris Hand did, you need to see that video, and you need to get to J Street Korean Grill and Bar this coming, Tuesday?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
This coming Tuesday, the 15th. With all of us, the entire Hail, the gang will be all there. Brian will do his entire show. We'll take over about 6 o'clock, and the group will do some things. Anyway, that's coming up this Tuesday. You need to be there. Fabulous event. Go to Super Talk 99.7 WTN on the Facebook page, and you will see the venue. It is absolutely great. Put in the promo code Chris. I got my feelings hurt because I didn't get a promo code, so I said I'd buy people drinks if they bought tickets based on my begging of them to buy tickets. And then Dan wanted to get more tickets than me. And so yesterday I said, okay, Dan, you win, I lose, you get to buy all the drinks. Congratulations.
Because you're a nice guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving him the win. Dan needs a win. It's been a long week for Dan. Needs a victory.
And you've had a lot of them, so it's like, one more for you wasn't going to mean anything.
Speaking of Mandis, can I tell you something real quick? I'll get back to the Hunter Biden, David Weiss stuff. So Mandis and I were supposed to practice pickleball yesterday. He wants to practice. And I do too. I need it. But my knee is janky. I screwed up my knee last week, so I have to wear this stupid knee. You guys want to see my knee brace? I'll show you on the Talk TV. Come on, look. Knee brace. Ow! That hurts. There it is. So, anyway, for those of you on Talk TV, you just saw my knee brace. So, and my knee bent and it hurts. So I told Mandis I couldn't practice yesterday. Well, then I get a telephone call from a buddy of mine who goes, come on, we're playing pickleball. And I'm like, I can't play pickleball. Well, he shames me into playing pickleball, and I hurt my knee again. But I won all 4 of my games. So I'm coming for you, Mandis. You see me? Coming for you in that pickle. We're going to do the pickleball, and we're going to play it at Mount Juliet Park, Charlie Daniels Park, and we're going to do it to benefit the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project if it kills me or my knee. Back to real things. So I'm about 50 years old, and maybe this is my age and inability to understand certain aspects of this case when I say this. Or maybe I'm just being naive. But I thought I remembered Merrick Garland telling us repeatedly, the Attorney General of the United States, you tell me if I'm remembering this wrong, we were told repeatedly that David Weiss had every authority to go in any direction during his investigation of his choosing. Repeatedly, we were told that. Now, all of that was a lie. We know that it was a lie based on testimony, and David Weiss even himself changed his story in the middle of the stream, saying, well, no, you had to, it was kind of a check with me deal. It was all gamesmanship from the beginning, and all decisions were being made at the Attorney General's office. But we were told all along that David Weiss had every authority under the sun to do anything he wanted to do as almost a de facto special counsel. But now they're naming him special counsel. And in doing so, they're withdrawing the prosecution's plea deal in the Hunter Biden deal. Now, we're supposed to believe, that this means he can go there and do that and investigate anything and everything. David Weiss said he didn't have the power he needed and wanted special counsel status. Then he said he did. Now he's being granted it, and they're pulling the deal off the table. Something stinks. And I'll tell you what I think it is in just a second. Because I believe that this is all designed to, A, drag this out beyond the 2024 election cycle. It indicates to me that the Democrats are still invested in seeing Joe Biden running, although I've been on the record for 6 months now saying that I don't believe that that's going to happen. I think the strain of a reelection campaign will become too great. By the way, also watch for this, and I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. There is zero chance that Joe Biden has the stamina to canvass the United States of America and actually campaign for president of the United States. Belkay, off the top of your head, how did he get it done the last time around?
You mean campaigning?
Yeah, Joe Biden. How did he manage to campaign during the 2020 election cycle?
On video from his house.
On video from his basement. That's correct. Why was he able to do that?
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID-19. Just watch for it. Watch for it. What is it, Matt? I don't know. Just it. Just watch for it. October, maybe. November. A resurgence of some sort of infectious disease. I don't know. Maybe I'm being conspiratorial, but I don't see any other way that Joe Biden can actually run for president. If Joe Biden is the nominee come December, or if he's the presumed nominee come December, I mean, I wouldn't put anything past these people. Nothing. Look at the effort that they're making to prevent us from getting to the truth, which is what this David Weiss nomination is all about. The naming of David Weiss as special counsel in the Hunter Biden probe stinks, stinks, stinks. It is because, A, they wanted to shut down this plea deal. They wanted to shut down this trial. They came to a plea deal, but now they're backing up and saying, well, the investigation is open again. Secondarily, how about this? James Comer and his oversight committee, they were actually getting to the truth. They were getting closer and closer through subpoena power to the truth. They had the receipts. They've now got the bank records where Hunter Biden made untold amounts of money from foreign entanglements with China, Russia, Ukraine, Uzbekistan. How much longer before James Comer and the Oversight Committee connects those bank accounts with the President of the United States, Joe Biden? And that means it's a Joe Biden scandal, which has always been a Joe Biden scandal, not a Hunter Biden scandal. And now that we have the receipts, how convenient that we have named the special counsel and they have pulled back from the plea deal that Hunter Biden had agreed to and his defense had agreed to. Now, when James Comer, here's what's about to play out. When James Comer calls witnesses to testify before the House Oversight Committee, those witnesses will now say, I'm sorry, you have to talk to David Weiss, the special counsel in the Hunter Biden probe, because there's an investigation ongoing there, and we can't talk without his permission, and David Weiss will not be giving his permission. This is not about getting to the truth. It's about getting away from it. It's not about opening up investigations. It's about closing them down. It's about protecting the Biden family at all costs. I never thought I would have said this about any other sitting politician. The Biden family is dirtier than any politicians in my lifetime, including the Clintons. And the Clintons were as dirty as they come. It's 1221, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm just getting warmed up. Would love to hear what you think about it. James, you'll be first. Also, the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. It's First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Two locations to serve you at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Let's talk to you, fellas. Now, women, I want you to listen up. If you've got a guy in your life and you've noticed an energy level that has decreased, and I know this is a delicate topic to bring up, and I'm going to be delicate with it, but if you've noticed maybe a lack of enthusiasm or frequency in bedroom activity, well, the fact of the matter is, as men get older, they lose certain things in their body that decrease with time and with age that can be replaced naturally and get them back to where they're going. But you have to know your levels. You got to know your T level. You got to know where you are in that spectrum to understand if there's a way for you to get back to what you had prior to losing that energy, verve, vitality. Whether it's at the gym, in the yard, working out, whatever it might be, let's get back to life again, gentlemen. You don't have to put up with a loss of energy and a loss of vitality when you've got Tennessee Men's Clinic on your side. One visit, less than $100, take a little blood work, and they'll give you some results right there as you wait. It's Tennessee Men's Clinic. Two locations, Cool Springs, Franklin, also Midtown in Nashville. Give them a call and schedule an appointment today and get back to life, guys. 615-208-9090, 208-9090. United Structural Systems is here for you when you need them. And, it's an odd thing for me to say this as I encourage you to communicate with USS for any of your home needs. You don't want to call USS. You don't, but sometimes you have to do the things you don't want to do. And if you don't do them, it could cost you big time in the long run. Let's talk about what I mean. With USS, they are the experts when it comes to foundation repair, waterproofing, and concrete leveling in your home. And oftentimes it's the case because I've experienced it about 15 years ago. So I didn't know USS at the time. I wish I did. I was down in Birmingham. But when you have foundation repair issues, you can whistle past the graveyard all you want, but they're not going away. And if you don't do something about them, you can make them much, much worse. So if you've seen the telltale signs, if you've seen cracking brick, if you've seen bowing walls, maybe you've noticed a musty smell in your basement or your crawl space. I know you don't want to, but it's time. Pick up the phone and call USS. They guarantee their best. USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. Over 25,000 satisfied customers since 1994. 615-488-7855. 488-7855 or USSTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I promised I would give a few of you an opportunity to weigh in on this matter. 615-737-9986. My take is simple. This is an effort to stymie the investigation going on by the Oversight Committee. They've now pulled back on the plea arrangement. They want to drag this out as long as possible. They feel as if it's their best political play. David Weiss has been named, quote-unquote, special counsel. I do not believe for a moment that he's going to be given full authority to actually investigate the truth, whether he wanted to or not. In the meantime, James Comer, the chair of the Oversight Committee in the House of Representatives, has spoken. Here's his statement. This move by Attorney General Garland is a part of the Justice Department's effort to attempt a Biden family cover-up in light of the House Oversight Committee's mounting evidence of President Joe Biden's role in his family's schemes, selling the brand for millions of dollars to foreign nationals. The Justice Department's misconduct and politicalization of the Biden criminal investigation already allowed the statute of limitations to run with respect to egregious felonies committed by Hunter Biden. Justice Department officials refused to follow evidence that could have led to Joe Biden, tipped off the Biden transition team and Hunter Biden's lawyers about planned interviews and searches, and attempted to sneakily place Hunter Biden on a path to a sweetheart plea deal. Let's be clear about what today's move is really about, writes James Comer. The Biden Justice Department is trying to stonewall congressional oversight as we have presented evidence to the American people about the Biden family corruption. The House Oversight Committee will continue to follow the Biden family's money trail and witness interviews to determine whether foreign actors targeted the Bidens, President Biden is compromised and corrupt, and our national security is threatened. We will also continue to work with the House committees on judiciary and ways and means to root out misconduct at the Justice Department and hold bad actors accountable for weaponizing law enforcement powers. I mean, for example, why does this matter? And that was, by the way, Representative James Comer, who is obviously head of the Oversight Committee. So Devin Archer, by all accounts, presented some pretty damning testimony regarding the involvement of Joe Biden in all of these family deals, right? These schemes with Ukraine and China. Oh, yeah, Joe was on the phone. Oh, he would call Joe up during the dinner and, oh, hey, hey, Dad, what's going on? Hey, it's the vice president here. What's up, guys? Oh, this is a good kid. You're going to get some great stuff out of him. If this special counsel had been in place at the time of the subpoena of Devin Archer, they would have prevented Devin Archer from testifying. Mark it down. Mark it down. Let's see what James has to say about it. Hello, James. How are you?
I am good. I just wanted to say everything you said is correct. It's about the statute of limitations. They don't want anything brought up. And it's also covering up the Biden administration or the Obama administration, because Obama knew about Biden's corruption in Ukraine, because his Ukrainian ambassador said in an interview I saw that they knew that it was a bad look for his government.
Well, yeah, I mean, Biden had to get sign off by Obama. And you know, they made a way to justify the firing of the special prosecutor that was looking into Burisma. But, you know, Joe Biden positioned himself as the point man in Ukraine for a reason. And that reason was his son was on the board of Burisma, and he needed to have controlling interest in any relationship that the United States of America had with the Ukraine with regard to money. That money was his power play. So absolutely Obama was aware, at least on the periphery, of what was going on. Sure.
Well, OAN did an interview with the prosecutor and some of the government officials in Ukraine, and the Obama administration would not give those people the ability to come to the United States and testify in front of Congress because they had to keep it hidden.
Well, it's all about hiding in the shadows, my friend, and I appreciate the call. We'll get to Stan coming up in just a moment. It's 12:31. The Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Breaking news, if you're just getting in your car from lunch or whatnot, maybe you're in your place of business, in your home, the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, has named David Weiss, the person that created or agreed to the sweetheart deal presented to Hunter Biden months ago. David Weiss has now been named special counsel in the Hunter Biden probe, meaning that the investigation resets, the plea deal's off the table, and they have an ability to deny the House Oversight Committee information needed to get to the truth. It's 12:32 on Super Talk.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing. And I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
Always important to remind ourselves of what make our weekends so special. That's the first responders, firefighters, police officers, doctors, nurses, convenience store workers, restaurateurs. It's Friday, everybody! And thank you for all of you that make our weekend special. I know it takes a lot of hard work to give me an opportunity to have a little fun. We appreciate you, weekend warriors.
You know what I need to do?
What?
I need to call her management company and see if we can get a remix called Friday Eve.
You should. You would dig Rebecca Black now if you followed her. Do you have Instagram?
No.
You need it just to follow Rebecca Black. She's a weirdo. Absolute weird. I mean, I think she was 14, 15 when she recorded this song.
Yeah, something like that.
Now she's in her mid-20s. Absolute weirdo. Just a lot of black leather and furry stuff.
Like furry, like
yeah, kind of, yeah. She's like a DJ or something out in California.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll show you. I ain't afraid. I'll show you.
Okay.
615-737-9986. Yes, I know that you hate the song, but you love the weekend. Okay? 4444 says, no, I totally hate this song. Brent says, no, don't call them, make it stop. You see, you hate the song, but you love the concept. The song becomes a symbol, right? As bad as the song is, it's a symbol of the weekend coming. And that's a good thing. Like, for example, the Cars for Kids commercial that all of you hate, that's a symbol of success for the radio station because they pay for those. So you know that you'll get more Matt Murphy tomorrow. Thank you, Cars for Kids. And oh, by the way, I kind of like this song. I should
Plus,
do
they
it.
wouldn't still be advertising if it wasn't working.
Apparently, it's working. It's called an earworm. That's what I try to be from noon until 3.
Yes, JB, it's kind of like Baby Shark.
Well, that's a good one. Baby shark. Baby shark. Baby.
Grandpa Shark.
Yeah, I know. You get a grandpa shark. Old man shark. They're having to go get him fish.
15th cousin removed.
Stan, get us out of this. Hey, Stan, how are you?
All right, I'm just going to run something by you here. It's always good to have something really cool happen to you on a Friday. I'm out in the middle of nowhere today, taking some measurements, doing some engineering work on some utility poles. And, I don't like going on people's property, but I'm walking down through there, and I've got my earbuds in, and I'm listening to your show right as you come in a few minutes ago. So I walk up to this door to knock on the door just to let somebody know that I'm going to be on their property. And I'm listening to WTN, and I hear a vicious dog barking. And, right away I thought I was in trouble. And then at the same time, I see this little bulldog, and I look to my left, and I see a license plate on the truck that says Your Farb. So I met a major celebrity today. True story.
That is awesome. Well, Grogu is a vicious beast, is she not?
Well, he was surprised when he opened the door, and before I said something to him, I said, "Get back, Grogu." Very cool guy, though. I was glad to meet him in person.
How's he doing? Does he look all right?
Good. Looks good. Yeah,
look,
looks
I haven't
good.
seen him. He's Brian Wilson, of course, is who Stan's talking about, and he had a little procedure. Of course, he's back on air yesterday, so I think he's as good as can be. I think he's off today. I think he had a funeral to attend today, so he'll be out today. I think I have that correctly, but no, that's pretty cool. Watertown's a nice place. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Well, that's a cool story, man. Thank you, Stan. That was it. Stan's mic dropping me. So, where does this leave us regarding the special counsel? The Department of Justice has announced that they're dropping the plea deal. That is in concert with the special counsel taking up further investigation on the case. What the political left is going to try to suggest to you, and I related it at the beginning of the show, and I want to reiterate it for those just joining us. The ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, hashtag never CNN, garbage network, garbage people, Washington Post, New York Times, et al. They will say this is Merrick Garland taking these charges very seriously. Merrick Garland is planning to get to the bottom of all of this. Merrick Garland is empowering David Weiss to do what is necessary to get to the truth. And nothing could be further from the truth. They are gaslighting you. So understand this. The guy that they just empowered, this thought just occurred to me. Think about this. The guy that they just gave special counsel authority to simultaneously gave a sweetheart deal to Hunter Biden while attempting to claim to the judge that the case was still under investigation. Why would you allow Hunter Biden to plead guilty, giving him a sweetheart deal, taking felonies and turning them into misdemeanors, and giving him blanket immunity down the road? This is what stymied the plea deal. Thank God this judge. We should get down on our knees if you value truth and justice, and thank God that the judge in the case stopped this and said, wait a minute, which is it? You've either completed the investigation and you're offering blanket immunity, or you haven't completed the investigation and you can't offer blanket immunity in that case. The way that David Weiss, who is now special counsel, wanted it, he wanted to claim, oh, yeah, we're still opening. Our investigation is still ongoing. Now, why did they have to say that? I just want to make sure that all of us are on the same page on this. It is prima facie evidence of just massive corruption here. So they have to say that the investigation is ongoing to have any ability to stymie the oversight committee. Otherwise, the oversight committee can subpoena all of it and get to the bottom of it on their own. So they were stuck between a rock and a hard place several weeks ago when the judge said, wait a minute, which is it? Are you going to give this man blanket immunity and say the case is closed and we do the plea deal? Or are you going to say the case is still open, in which case I'm not accepting this plea deal because he doesn't. What happens if during the course of the investigation you find a dead hooker? And that's not a stretch. I mean, considering.
Did he lose one?
Maybe.
No.
Have we checked the box springs of every seedy-ass motel that Hunter Biden stayed in, smoking crack rock and having sex with hookers?
That takes a lot of time.
Takes a lot of time. A lot of energy. Always check those box springs, everybody. Have you ever heard that urban legend, by the way?
No.
Am I the only one?
About hooker in the box springs?
Yeah.
Huh.
Guy at hotel, smells a weird smell, can't find anything, and it's somebody's cut out the box springs, put somebody in there.
Ugh.
I know, it's pretty macabre. I don't know why I went down that road.
Why?
I was thinking of Hunter Biden. I'm sorry.
I know, but
it's lunchtime. I know.
It's perfectly acceptable to bury the body like the mob would. Why do we got to get creative? Just stick it in the ground.
Barrel Lake. Well,
Yes.
because 40 years later, now
Well,
Lake Mead's
all right.
down, and here come the barrels.
Yeah, good point.
So what happens if you uncover like a major crime down the road and you've given this guy blanket immunity? The judge isn't going to do that in that case. But the prosecution, they wanted to have it both ways and they couldn't. And so they're left stymied as to what to do next. Meantime, the oversight committee creep, as my good buddy Brian Wilson would say, drip, 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 right? Watertown, man. And getting a little bit too close to the truth. Now we have receipts. Now the oversight committee has managed to get receipts directly connecting Hunter Biden with payments in Russia, with payments in China, with payments in Ukraine. How much longer can the mainstream media ignore this story? Well, let's get it the hell off the back burner on a Friday morning. All of this smells bad, folks. Now you reopen the investigation, you reset the investigation, you pretend like you have to start from the beginning, and David Weiss slow walks this bad boy until such time as you make it go away. Either by Joe Biden no longer being president of the United States or by him getting reelected. I don't believe that Joe Biden will be there. I'm on record as saying so. But you mark it down. August 11th, 2023. Just write this down, put it in an envelope, date it, and we can open it up at a later time. if Joe Biden gets reelected, if he manages to make it to the finish line and gets reelected as president of the United States, David Weiss will simultaneously slow walk this investigation for the next year and a half. And if Joe Biden's reelected, Joe Biden pardons Hunter Biden. Mark it down. Let's see if I'm right.
Well, at that point, he's lame duck and has nothing to lose.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And you know what the mainstream media? Just a father loving his son. That's what they keep saying.
Hunter was persecuted, and his father's just protecting him from that persecution.
Just a father loving his son. 9447 agrees with me. I just looked over here, 9447. It says the big guy's going to pardon him in the end. I would agree with that. 5042 says, hey, Matt, that happened at the Hotel Excalibur in Las Vegas. They found a person dead under the mattress. Okay. But they said they wouldn't pardon him, writes 6965. Steve says, don't forget about option 3, slow walk the investigation until the statute of limitations has passed. It's exactly right. And John reminds me that I should be saying prostitute as opposed to the other word. See, John thinks that saying hooker is a little close to Hendon Hooker, and he doesn't like that because he's a true Tennessee man, orange through and through. I appreciate that as well. All right, more thoughts on this. At the 1 o'clock hour, we will turn our attention to state news as we will have the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, with us to talk about the special session that is upcoming. My good friend Steve Abramowitz from Mill Creek View, Tennessee, writes in and says, Chief Justice Roberts said there are not Obama judges and Trump judges, they're just judges. Schumer has lapped McConnell for new judges under Biden. They're testing the judges that they own. I don't know. I don't know what the tally is, Steve. I'm going to lean on you for the tally on Obama, on Trump judges versus Biden judges. I know Trump got his fair share in there, certainly at the higher levels of the courts. But I have no doubt in your numbers that the Biden administration is attempting to pack as many judges because that was a central part of the Democrat playbook. And one of the reasons that the Democrats are freaking out so much about Supreme Court level decisions is because Donald Trump upset the apple cart there. And now constitutionally minded judges have the final say after all of these appellate judges in these federal district courts go off on a rail with regard to the law and constitutional authority. It upset their apple cart, their 40-year plan. The 40-year plan was to get enough liberal judges that would liberally, the Constitution is a living, breathing document, and it's just really a skeletal structure, and we've got to put veins and muscle and meat on the bone. Shut up. Read the Constitution. Well, now there's a fallback. There's a failsafe. They can't handle that. So I have no doubt that the Biden administration is attempting to pack those courts. So we'll continue to break this down. Your thoughts on the way, on the phone, 615-737-9986. It's First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, I've got a pain in the head after watching the news of the day. I don't know that the Dr. Gill Center can help this type of pain, but just about any other pain, they can assist you in that regard. I'm going for my knee because I mentioned, I screwed my knee up playing too much pickleball. But that's okay because I've got the Dr. Gill Center on my side, and they can assist you in your knee pain now. I mean, that's brand new technology, but it's pretty cool that the Dr. Gill Center has the ability to do that. And they can decompress the knee and allow the healing blood flow, reduce swelling, accelerate healing, reduce pain, reduce inflammation. That's what it's all about at the Dr. Gill Center. They do so with their red light therapy, their class 5 laser therapy, and their spinal decompression. So if you have back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, any pain, go to the Dr. Gill Center. Don't take a pill, and don't rely on needles, and don't consider surgery until you talk to the good people of the Dr. Gill Center. 615-882-4838 is the number. 615-882-4838. It's the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy. Efficient heating and cooling is on my mind because it's the middle of summer, and it should be on yours, especially if your AC is not working as properly as it should. Now, how do you know? Well, if you set your AC on 70 degrees, for example, or whatever your temperature is that you wanted in your home, and it never quite gets there, if it seems to be struggling and you're constantly on 74 when you've set it on 70, or you're on 72 when you've set it on 68, that is a sign. And Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they want to come to your home, maintenance that unit, and see if they can get it running more efficiently. Because if that unit's not running efficiently for a variety of reasons, it could put a strain on the unit, it could cause it to fail, and that catastrophic failure could lead you to have to get another unit, and that is thousands of dollars in expense. At some point, you have to replace, and when you do, Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling want you to know they offer free financing. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. You can go to efficienthvac.net or give them a call at 615-784-4424 and tell them I said, if you're sweaty, call Jeff Eddy, Efficient Heating and Cooling. I'm so proud of that. It only took me a year. It only took me a year and a half.
It's funny. I love it.
I think it's funny.
I bet you Jeff is grinning ear to ear,
Yeah,
too.
y'all call Jeff Eddy and tell him Murphy says, if I'm sweaty, I got to call Eddie. Hey, real quick, before we turn our attention to Nashville news, and I know a lot of you are commenting on this new development regarding the special prosecutor. But how about this? Let me see here. It's Bike Week in Sturgis, South Dakota. Now, the zenith of Bike Week was in 2015. They had about 750,000 people in that itty-bitty town over the course of a week. It's dropped to like 500,000 now, but it's still a pretty significant.
It's only 500,000.
Yeah, I mean, they're all like, I was reading about this last night. They're all concerned about it, that they've dropped from 750,000 in 2015 in 8 years to 500,000 people. But if you're looking for room, if you're planning to go to Bike Week and you're looking for room, I can tell you where you can go and get away from the crowds. The Budweiser tent. Oh, yes. It is empty. Despite 500,000 people descending on Sturgis, the main Budweiser area, I've got a video and some audio of it. It is absolutely delightful, and I'll share that with you a little bit later on. It is 1 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up in a moment, the Tennessee Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, to speak on the matter of a special session. That's next.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Attorney General Merrick Garland today with a major announcement in the Hunter Biden investigation.
I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint him as special counsel.
Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss had been investigating Biden.
On Tuesday of this week, Mr. Weiss advised me that in his judgment, his investigation had reached a stage at which he should continue his work as a special counsel, and he asked to be so appointed.
Mixed GOP reaction to the news.
We've heard some reaction from Republicans on Capitol Hill. You'd think that maybe they would think this is a good thing. There's been lots of questions over Weiss's status during this investigation, but I will say that we've heard from some of the top Republicans on these committees, including Jim Jordan. They're slamming this appointment, saying Weiss can't be trusted, not totally providing any details on that, but I think Republicans on Capitol Hill will continue their parallel investigation into this as well.
ABC's Catherine Falders. At least 55 people dead, dozens of homes and businesses destroyed across Maui from those ferocious wildfires. ABC's Melissa Aiden is in Maui outside of a police roadblock where rescue crews are still sifting through the debris.
At one point there were a bunch of cars out here because they were waiting to see maybe the opportunity that the blockade behind me where police are, they would open it to allow residents to go to their home. That has not happened yet. It is only for emergency personnel as of this point. You hear the reports from others who have either been out there or made it out and escaped, and it is frustratingly sad.
The federal judge presiding over the January 6th case urges President Trump to watch his words.
Over the course of a hearing that began exactly on time and lasted an hour and 45 minutes, Judge Tanya Chutkin said prosecutors went too far in insisting that Donald Trump be constrained from talking about any evidence in the case. but she ruled that grand jury witness testimony would be off limits for public consumption.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy at U.S. District Court in D.C. You're listening to ABC News.
All right, folks, so you understand that it's a dangerous world out there. We all do. We talk about these dangers from time to time, whether they be wildfires, other natural disasters, or crime in your community. Well, active shooter and physical security of your place of business, your school, your church, it's more important than ever because there are active shooters that pop up from time to time. Sad as it is, I wish we could make them go away, but we cannot. Defense Systems is your answer. Brink Fiddler has developed a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee, utilizing his almost 2 decades of experience with the Metro Nashville Police Department, in which he conducted over 1,000 high-risk law enforcement tactical operations. He understands this stuff, folks. Make no bones about it. Active shooter response training, they'll take care of that for you. Workplace violence prevention, site surveys, security improvement, emergency and intruder action plans, all available and customized for your facility. So if you are a decision maker at a place of business, a school, a church, or any other place where people gather, you owe it to yourself to do this. Hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defense Systems. DefenseSystems.com or 615-236-6484. 236-6484 for Defense Systems. Well, hello there. A lively first hour of the Matt Murphy Show. We hope to keep it going in hour number 2. It's 105 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm fired up on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Never you fear. All of you J-heads, I don't know, I just made that up. There's got to be something better than that. Fry J is alive and well, coming up at 2 o'clock today. Jay St. Clair will join us at that time, and we will talk special counsel, obviously, and Jay will answer any of your legal questions. He's our go-to legal expert on the Matt Murphy Show. One of our go-to guys in the Tennessee General Assembly is none other than the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton. He joins us on the Murphy Show hotline to weigh in on the special session that's coming on the 21st of this month. We haven't talked with Cameron. It feels like a month of Sundays. Cameron, I hope you're doing well. I hope your summer's going well. Hello.
It's doing well. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's been a good summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, and a little bit of an anticipatory summer, I would imagine, as most of us have been anticipating now that which we know will happen, and that is a special session coming up in 10 days. All the General Assembly will gather for, at least a few days. Just give me your 50,000-foot overview of what the call is all about and what you hope to accomplish, Cameron.
Yeah, well, I mean, the call is what it is. You know, the call, the governor put the enhanced order of protection in it. I don't think it's going to make it out of the subcommittee in the House. There's other things in there. You know, one of the things that's not in there is anything dealing with guns or magazines or anything like that. But there is a lot of stuff in there about mental health, which I think is important. Emergency and voluntary commitment statute, which is important. Fixing the background check where we don't have an integrated court system is important. School safety, higher education safety is important. And so I think there's a lot of things in there that duty to warn is in there about physicians' duty to warn on someone who's a threat to themselves or society. We need to fix the gray areas in that. So I think there's a lot of things that we need to do that would have helped the Covenant shooting situation, but also that protects your constitutional rights, liberty, and freedom as well.
So you mentioned the order of protection kind of being a non-starter, and I'm getting that a lot from a variety of different folks, not just in the legislative process, but also, I mean, the governor's staff has indicated, and the governor himself has indicated that he doesn't believe that any sort of quote-unquote red flag law is necessarily going anywhere, although he was the one that initiated it or at least brought it up. Do you think is the bill going to be filed?
I don't foresee. Well, it's not going to be a governor or administration bill. We have found that out, which then means that the two leaders won't be carrying it. Now, members can file what they want. Do I think a Republican would file that bill? I'm hesitant to say yes. I'm not sure. Would the Democrats file it? More than likely. I think they would, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I don't see it making any progress at all.
I've asked this question of a couple of members of the body, including Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. I'll ask you, Cameron, on the SRO front. Sadly, even though the General Assembly saw fit to fully fund all SROs in public schools and private schools throughout the state of Tennessee, some locations have decided not to take full advantage of that money, including, of course, Metro Nashville. Dr. Battle and then Police Chief John Drake said it would be impossible to fill those positions, and so they declined $5.25 million. My question to you, it seems that they are loath to do this for their own reasons. I don't believe there's any excuse not to have an SRO in every school in the state of Tennessee. Is it time for the state to demand that of the local school systems? I know that as a conservative, you're loath to get involved in local matters, but has the time come to consider it?
Well, potentially, but, I think the parents need to push back on the metro schools if that's what they want to do. And, unfortunately, from my understanding is the metro schools are using the police department to be the hammer when it's really not about finding staff. Because why do I say that? You go to any rural district, they're not having a problem filling an SRO. They don't have the population that Metro Nashville has. So how in the world can they not find the staff to put an SRO in schools in the biggest county in the state when Cumberland County and Clay County and other counties can? So it doesn't make sense what they're saying. What I have heard is they just don't want an SRO with a gun in their middle and elementary schools. They have it in high school, but they just don't want it in the lower grades. They came back to the state and they asked if they could use it for a rapid response team, which would be after the fact, which doesn't make sense. And then the other thing we heard, which we're going to go in and fix some of this. One of the things is, there's a lot of charter schools in Davidson County. And Davidson County school systems, Metro Nashville school systems, told all the charter schools, if we do SROs, it's going to be high school, middle school, or elementary, and then we'll consider you if there's anything left. So they're holding the charter schools can't even hire anybody. And so we're going to go in and look at that and try to fix that as well. That doesn't sound right, and that's not the way it should work.
There are some coming at this from the right. And I'll give an easy example because I saw it just this morning, Cameron. The Tennessee Star, and I refer to the Tennessee Star quite a bit. They're pretty good keeping us up on statewide and local stories. But their headline today: first bills filed for Governor Lee's gun control special session. This is like the third time that they have insisted that this special session is about gun control. Do you push back on that characterization?
I do. There's nothing in this call about gun control. I mean, all you have to do is listen to the Democrats complain at every bus stop that they have, this thing they're doing across the state, where they're complaining that they can't even file any legislation about guns, magazines, or anything else. And so, there's nothing in this about that. That's a misrepresentation of what this is. There's misrepresentation. There's some other groups out there who are saying, well, this is how you expand Medicaid. Well, that's not accurate either. That's not going to happen in this special session. It's unfortunate that people don't want anybody to do anything. They don't want you to help someone who has a mental health issue get the help that they need. It's kind of like with the Democrats. They're going around saying, oh, you just want to take away someone's liberty and lock them up and make them committed and take away their liberty. No, we actually want to get people help that need help, that have mental health issues, to get better. What the Democrats want to do is just take away your guns and not give you the help that you need if you have mental health issues. They're not even discussing that, and I think that's a missed opportunity for them. But the groups who are out there trying to define this as something, it's just not right. It's not right, and they shouldn't do it.
All right, so structurally, help me understand, because I'm relatively new to the state, how the special session goes. Obviously, you cannot consider anything other than the call. How is the special session different than the general session in terms of its structure?
The general session, every member can offer 15 bills on any subject within the state's statute or codes of law. Special session only pertains to what the call is. So in the call, it talks about increased access for mental health, for providers, for resources, for commitment, that sort of stuff. So you're limited to that. If you look at the safe storage legislation in the call, it says that you can propose safe storage legislation as long as it doesn't include penalties, which means you can't do criminal or civil penalties. So that would be outside the call. So a special session is a lot more limited on what you can do as a member compared to a regular session.
What, if anything, are you looking at as the most important piece to get passed during the special session? We've seen the call. It's 17 or 18 points long. Is there anything that you point to as most important or things that need to be prioritized?
I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, there's things that would have potentially helped the situation on the Covenant shooting. Nothing is going to have prevented it. I think some people think that there may have been, but you can limit it. You can't prevent someone who's wanting to harm people. But in this call, I think if we can get the integrated court systems where the data that's coming out of the courts, whether it's mental health or criminal activity where you shouldn't be able to purchase a gun, if that can get in the database in 2 to 3 days instead of 5 to 6 years, we got to fix that. That's important. Changing the emergency and voluntary commitment clause. Right now, it's only used for people who are suicidal because it says you have to be immediate harm to yourself or immediate threat to society. Someone who is a mass shooter like that person that did Covenant, they're not an immediate threat until that morning. Immediate means today. They were an imminent threat, so we want to help with that situation. We also had a duty to warn. We're looking into she was under doctor's care. And the duty to warn statute is very gray. It doesn't say who you're supposed to tell. It doesn't say you're supposed to tell law enforcement, the department, or who it is. And then some people say that you have to have a specific threat. Some would say it's a general threat. So the duty to warn, clearing that up and make sure that if you're going to harm yourself or to society, that law enforcement is notified, and that would help in those situations. Those are just a couple of the things. Some of the bigger items is right now when you talk to hospitals and you talk to providers, our mental health reimbursement, you have mental health hospitals who are losing tens of millions of dollars because TennCare doesn't reimburse them back. And they're potentially looking to close those facilities. We don't have enough beds. So we can't lose any more beds. So we need to increase the reimbursement rate for mental health so that those people who are providing that services will continue to have at least those 577 beds or so that we need in the state as we look to expand.
We're talking with Cameron Sexton, Speaker of the House of the State of Tennessee General Assembly, about the special session that's coming up in 10 days. Outside of the loons on the left and some of our, good friends on the right who are taking exception with this, claiming that you are you, along with Jack Johnson and Bill Lee, are some sort of you're hiding in plain sight, and you're going to jump on this red flag law as soon as you get a chance. I don't understand their logic there. But outside of those folks, what I hear from my listening audience is some appreciate the fact that you're acting on this. Others are questioning whether or not this was important enough to spend the time, energy, and money to go into special session. I know that's not your decision necessarily, Cameron, but I was hoping that you would be able to speak to it. I mean, obviously, the governor made the decision to call you guys. You don't make that. But can you at least answer the people who feel like this is maybe overkill and we could have taken care of this in the regular session in January?
You mean the coming up this January?
That all of these matters that you're dealing with in special could have been handled in January.
Well, I mean, I think so. What you're saying is it's one thing. So you got to say from August to the end of the year is 4 months. If you propose legislation in January, the earliest that you'll get it passed would be March. So that's 7 months. If you need funding, potentially that's another 3. So you're talking. What things are you willing to wait 10 to 12 months on to take effect, right? And so what I would challenge the listening audience is the background database. If we need to get that turned around, can we really wait 12 months and lose 12 months when it's going to take anywhere from 18 months to 24 months to get that upgraded, to get the database we need, the software we need, and whether it's the court clerks or the DAs or the sheriffs or whoever has the database, to get that information instantaneous to TBI so they can put it in the background check. If we wait until January, that's another year. So now we're 3 years out. Mental health issues. You have people right now who are a threat to them. Well, if they're immediate threat to themselves, they're taken care of. They're a threat to society. And there's nothing that you can do to involuntarily commit them. They would have to go voluntarily. Fixing that statute will help people get the help that they need. And I've talked to many families who their child did not want to go in and be voluntarily committed, and trying to get them the help they needed based on the statute we have is problematic. I think that's an important fix. Increasing the reimbursement for teen care so that the people who are seeing the mental health patients, inpatient, outpatient, in the emergency room, can continue to see those patients. Waiting a whole nother year and allowing them to lose another $14 million in a facility doesn't make sense. Then you have juvenile crime. We all see juvenile crime increasing. There's a misconception out there that people think it's decreasing. I would say look at Shelby County, look at Memphis, look at juveniles here in Davidson County where you're at. And we're going to want to do juvenile blended sentencing. I think that's important to get that in place to hold those violent juveniles accountable so that you can get them to adult court if you need to, where at age 19, they don't automatically just get the free pass and they get back up on the streets to continue the criminal activity. So there are things that I think that we should do, we have to do, and it's better to do it now than wait a whole nother 12 months where you lose that capability of getting the effectiveness started earlier.
I have a few other questions about specific pieces. Do you have a couple of extra minutes, Cameron? I've got to do a real quick timeout. Cameron Sexton with us. He's Speaker of the House. We'll take a short timeout. We will ask about human trafficking in just a moment. I'm going to clarify the Executive Order 100, which was signed by the governor, which makes changes to the TIC system. We'll talk about that in a moment. And we will ask Cameron to expand on his pushback on this concept of the expansion of Medicaid. That's all to come on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, modern technology is pretty incredible. Modern medicine is even more so incredible. And I want to talk to you for a moment about Kraft Body Scan, which is as modern as it gets. Kraft Body Scan utilizes CT scan technology that's been around for a hot minute. They've been around since 2017 in many different areas around the country. And now, finally, we have them right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Friends, if you are concerned about a health issue, but you're not really sure which way to go, what direction to turn, might I encourage you to go to Kraft Body Scan. Sit down with a private health consultation. They'll learn more about you, and you'll learn more about them. You're scanned right there on site. The scan only takes about 5 to 8 minutes. You have a certified, board-certified radiologist that goes over the scan, looks for abnormalities, and then they report back to you. Hopefully, they find nothing at all, and then you have peace of mind. That's what happened to me. I took the Kraft Body Scan, took the full body scan, and absolutely adore the results because I I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac, and I now have some peace of mind. And right now, $149 for a heart and lung scan for a couple. That's two of you. $149, you cannot beat it. Go to craftbodyscan.com to sign up today. Spell craft with a C, bodyscan.com, or 615-436-1000. 436-1000, Craft Body Scan.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In about 10 days, the Tennessee General Assembly will go into special session, so called by the governor of the state of Tennessee, Bill Lee. I would suggest that it is a public safety session, although apparently that's not good enough for some of the headline makers. They're saying, oh, it's gun control and there's a hidden agenda. Some of our buddies, and I say that in quotes, I mean, Gary Humble is one of them, Cameron. Tennessee Stands organization is another organization. I don't like to throw a rock and hide my hand, so I'm just going to name names here. They are saying that all of this is a hidden agenda to get red flag laws, all of it. And I just wanted you an opportunity to respond to that. I mean, it seems ridiculous to me on its face. I mean, I would be the first to call you guys out if you did that 180-degree turn. But as I know you this last year and a half, I don't believe that is the case. What is your response to some of these accusations from the far political right?
Well, I mean, I think you have to look to see if they're trying to use it as a fundraising opportunity as well. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But to continue to go down that road and say this is really about gun control when you look at the call, there's nothing in there that you can do on guns. If that was the case, the Democrats wouldn't be out here crying at every bus stop that they're doing, first of all. Second is, the red flag law, that the enhanced border protection, governor said he would put in the call. That's not a surprise to anybody. But you've had enough people who have said they're not supporting it. They're not going to vote for it. I can tell you, when you look at the committees, the way it's currently set up in the regular session, and not much is going to change in special, it's not going to make it out of the subcommittee. I mean, it's a non-starter. I think you've heard people for 3 or 4 months say that. Some groups just don't want to buy it, but that's not what they want to sell. They don't want to sell that the General Assembly is here to protect the Second Amendment rights. They want to spread a narrative that makes it seem like they're probably a little bit more important than what they are.
Based on the call, it seems to me, and I know you've had conversations with him, it seems the governor has been listening to some interests in the state with regard to public safety, to include the interests of various organizations to try to do what we can to stop human trafficking, specifically child trafficking. That was a part of the call. What, if anything, do you know about what the state can do in that regard?
Yeah, well, that part of the call is the governor is going to propose legislation as part of his package. I think he has 6 or 7 things, but it's more of a TBI reporting mechanism on human trafficking that will shed some light on some things that are going on to make it a little bit better information, so we know how to deal with it. I mean, and to go back to your point on the database and our crime statistics. The problem is when our courts all don't talk on the same wavelength, they all aren't integrated, that the crime numbers that we get are not a true reflection of what's going on, because not everybody's reporting, not everybody has the same system. And so it becomes very problematic. Some cities in our state haven't reported data in years. And so trying to get the database for background checks is important, because what that does is also allow us to integrate all the courts so we have better crime numbers as well.
And other aspects of the call include clarifying this, or codifying, I should say, the executive order. And you spoke to that in the first segment, but on the tick system, that's just a timing thing, right? I mean, right now it takes far too long to transfer this information over. So is there anything additional that's going to be included in terms of reporting, or is it just an effort to speed up, using modern technology and techniques, the timing of getting that information to the proper authorities?
Yeah, I mean, there's a problem with the tick system. I mean, I think the governor's trying to get the turnaround time in the system that we have, which when you talk to law enforcement, you talk to the judicial side, and you talk to others, it's not the best system. It was never designed to do what we're having it to do, but it is what we have. And that's why it's important to get that integrated system that we can all use. The other part with it is there's nothing there holding the people accountable for putting it in for 72 hours. I know the executive order says you need to give it to us for 72 hours, but what happens if you don't give it to us in 72 hours? There's no mechanism for accountability to make sure that they do that. So that's another reason when we go in special session, we'll have the capability of putting a consequence with that action if they don't follow through.
And we've seen a couple of filings now. I know that that House Majority Leader William Lamberth has now filed HB 7002, which is a measure that changes the plan on exactly how evacuations happen within the school systems. Do I have this right? According to fire alarms?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's his idea. I'll defer to him on it. But, yeah, okay. It's part of the school safety plans and trying to streamline it. Look, one of the things that we did was hardening of schools, and I don't think the governor gets enough credit. You mentioned it, but nobody wants to talk about the funding that we put in SROs for public and private schools and how that deterred the Covenant shooter from going to other locations. We know that as a fact. And so there's a lot of funding there. We also want to expand the hardening money in this session. Also make it on higher education and allow them to continue, because I think putting the film on the doors and some other things is an important process. I think I toured the UT Health Science Center, which is in the middle of Memphis, which is multiple buildings in downtown. And they showed a computer system that they have magnetic locks. If there's a situation outside or inside, they can shut down the whole school within 3 seconds, and no one has to pull a fire alarm or do anything. And so there's things that we can do that's better security, but an SRO in every school is a very good thing in my opinion.
Well, hopefully, and I've heard from several of your representatives in the House as well as on the Senate side, that they're strongly considering whether or not to include that in the special session, a requirement on the part of local school systems that they do everything in their power to get those SROs, particularly in elementary schools in Nashville, Tennessee, which is just inexplicable to me. Final thought on the structure of the session with regard to safety. There are a lot of outside organizations that are planning to descend on the state of Tennessee, as you well know. We've seen protest in the past. Look, protest, lawful protest, that's an American right. And obviously no one's going to infringe upon that. Are you concerned at all with safety? Are you secure in the knowledge that the state troopers have all of this handled?
Well, you're always concerned about safety because, you can secure the building, you can kind of secure the inside of the building, but you also have to remember that members at night are going back to their hotels or wherever they are for a session, and that becomes problematic, and they may be eating out. That's problematic. Look, we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that all members, all staff, that even people who are up there protesting peacefully, that they're safe. There's going to be some up there who want to cause chaos and harm, just like was last time. We've been dealing with this for 3 years. We've sat down with the governor and the Senate and the Highway Patrol and Department of Safety. we have plans in place. We're doing things a little bit different, and we think we'll be able to achieve it. I'm not going to give away everything that we're doing because I don't want them to know. I mean, it is a concern, but as I've said before many times, is you don't allow the protesters or the people who want to cause you harm or chaos to bully you, intimidate you, and not doing what you think you should do to protect Tennesseans, whether they have mental health issues at school or wherever it may be. So we're going to go in, we're going to do our work, and then we're going to adjourn and go home and come back in January.
A quick follow-up on that, and then I'll let you go because I know you're busy. But, Cameron, inside the chamber, what is your message to membership? We all know how the general session kind of descended into ridiculousness last time around. I think that there are certain members in the minority party that have been emboldened by certain activities that happened and some of the resulting, fame and publicity that they received as a result of that. What, as Speaker of the House, what is your plain message to the members of the House of Representatives in special session?
It's the same thing as always. We're going to follow the House rules. We expect decorum. We expect what the Constitution lays out on how you're supposed to act when you're on the House floor. And if you violate those, you'll be held accountable. There will be a consequence. It could be expulsion. It could be censorship. It may be other things. We're going to have to pass a rules package when we come in. And so they will be held accountable. And I know some of them are like, well, I'm going to do it again. Well, all right. Well, that's their job, and we'll do it again. But what we did the first time, in my view, was right. It rose to the level of expulsion. If they want to do it again, then I guess we'll have to do it again. But hopefully they will follow the House rules and not act like that they did last time.
Well, you and I have had many conversations on that front, and you have been steadfast in your position that what you did was the right thing to do and that you do it again. I'm frustrated because it gave them the level of notoriety that it did, but I get where you're coming from on that front, Cameron. I appreciate your openness to come on, speak on these matters. Thank you for your leadership in the House, and we'll see you in session, my friend.
Thank you. We'll see you. Have a great
all right,
weekend.
Take care. You do too. There's Cameron Sexton, Speaker of the House, expected to gavel into session about 10 days from now. Special session. Your thoughts, 133, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 615-737-9986.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show.
You know what I've been doing for the
Matt
last,
Murphy,
I don't know,
Pamela
year
Burr,
or
Johnny
so.
B.
When I buy
Everybody's going to be
clothes,
here. We're going to come to the table.
clothes,
We're going to talk
I look at the
politics.
label.
All
And
you can
if it
eat
says
food.
made in China,
And
I
believe
move
me,
on.
look at this
Because
script.
I'm trying to
When they
spend
say
my
all
money
you
a
can
little
eat
more
is all
wisely,
you
a
can
little
eat.
more deliberately.
So
I
join us,
encourage
grab
you
your
to do
tickets
that
at
in your daily life as well. What about Patriot
99.7WTN.com.
Mobile?
Promo code
Have you
Chris.
spent your money
And
there yet?
if
Because,
you help
when you
cooking
spend your
your
money
steak,
with the
I'm
cell
here for
phone
you.
company
Let's
of
do
your
this thing
choosing,
together.
and there's 3 big ones, right? You know that some of that money's going to woke propaganda. It's going to the DEI programs. It's going to that other nonsense. It's not going to the types of values and belief structure that you live and breathe, that you believe in, things like the Second Amendment of the Constitution that we've been talking about, or religious freedom, or the sanctity of life. At Patriot Mobile, they maximize your dollars. They give you the same great service. And look, I don't pretend that you would sacrifice quality of service just so you could say, hey, I'm doing the right thing and I'm not giving money to woke propaganda. This is great service. This is the same great service. You'll keep your phone. You keep your phone number. It's excellent service. It's a low price point. Just ask when you make the call to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They give you the same great coverage without all of the woke propaganda. PatriotMobile.com/Murphy. PatriotMobile.com/Murphy or 878-PATRIOT and use offer code Murphy for free activation to Patriot Mobile. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Thank you for being around on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. A good opportunity for you to jump on the phone. Any question of your choosing, any thought of your choosing. Monday through Thursday, we really allow more. I mean, I appreciate callers, I think, more than anybody. I mean, I'm not begrudging how, everybody else does their thing, but I love interacting with you, especially on a Friday where it's our commitment to you. You call about any matter of your choosing, and I promise that I'll do my best to act interested.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true.
Hey, Joe, where you been? I almost got caught. Have you seen the fake photo of Joe at the beach with diapers on?
Yeah, but
he's lying down, and I mean it's really well done, and it looks like he's wearing an adult diaper. And
are you certain it's not real?
It is not real.
You're certain?
I am 100% certain.
Okay.
Well, 95% certain. Hold on.
92.5.
Okay, 80% certain that it's not real. No, I mean, he's lying down. He's got his glasses off on his chest, and somebody has kind of put in the diapers in the crotchal region. And it's well done enough. When somebody sent it to me the other day, I'm like, whoa, Joe, why is this not making... Oh, it's not real. You got to watch yourself for those things. Joe Biden has absolutely benefited, monetarily and otherwise, from the Biden family business. And there was an interview that he did recently with the Weather Channel, of all people. The interview prompted some to speculate that the president wanted to continue to talk about the weather. I think he would much prefer talking about climate change than the real issue at hand. And I believe that's what's happening today as you announce this special counsel in the form of David Weiss, who was already on the case. And it seems like that is an announcement to shut any and all conversation about this down. And that's exactly what the Biden family expects to happen. I'm fascinated. Now, sadly, we have become, and this is the thing, folks, we have become so jaded on this front that I fear that the tenacious nature of the left and their ability to play the long game is wearing you down. And wearing you down in the sense of I'm not lashing noodles at you, but we ought to be up in arms about all of this. Instead, for the most part, on the super text line and on the phone lines, I hear, well, they're just going to hide it like they always did, and it's going to go away, and nothing's going to be done about it. Nothing's going to be done about it if you go away. I promise you that.
Something I was thinking about last night and let's just say in Joe's mind, let's do a thought exercise. He does not see himself as having done anything illegal when he was vice president. There is no reason for him to stop doing what he was doing. Let's say that he looked at it like, okay, we're skirting really close, but we found some loopholes. We can get around it. There's no reason for him to stop doing what he was doing. Mm-hmm. If he viewed it as 100% illegal and he's going to do it anyway and I can get away with it, there's still no reason for him to stop doing what he was doing. So why are we assuming?
So why has he stopped doing what he's doing?
I don't think he has stopped.
You think he's still helping Hunter out? Making the calls?
Oh, sure.
Selling the Biden brand?
Absolutely.
Well, why the hell are we giving $24 billion more to Ukraine? I mean, to your point.
Yeah.
I mean, folks, Joe, what is the number to now? I can't keep up. I think it's $140 billion now. In the meantime, Hawaii's on fire. Hawaii is burning to a crisp. I walked into a room in my home today, and my wife was sitting in one of our easy chairs crying. I'm like, what are you crying about? And she pointed to the television, and she was watching Hawaii.
Somebody was clearly trying to torch Obama's birth certificate, and it just got out of control.
When 53 people are dead, I'm not going to make jokes about it.
55.
55, my bad.
Plus 1,000 are missing.
My God. I mean, it is an unspeakable natural disaster. And yes, I understand that Biden has declared an emergency situation and they're going to be forking over money. But how much more money do we have, especially considering we're giving billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars over to Ukraine? Why? I mean, there are two reasons. One, Joe Biden is desiring, and the military-industrial complex desires to slow walk us into conflict with Russia. Well, that's the hidden agenda, I think. That's where all of this is going. Right now, the Ukrainians aren't doing so well. And I'm not saying the Russians should not be pushed back, and I hope that they are. And there are plenty of countries that ought to come to the aid of Ukraine, but we cannot. I mean, I'm not a war hawk, folks. And we got too many war hawks in Washington, D.C. that just love to gin up the spirit of war and send America. I mean, are we prepared to send American men and women overseas to die on the soil of Ukraine for the freedom of Ukraine? If we are, tell me. If we're not, then we need to stop sending money. And what we're creating is a perpetual state of war. And then, of course, there's the money to Iran. It is called a prisoner swap. The details have not been ironed out on the quote-unquote prisoner swap as of yet. But what we know is it's a like 5 or 6 to 5 or 6 swaps. So there's like 5 or so. I have not invested the time to research the story to know who these people are that are in Iranian custody. If they are American citizens, then we need to do everything in our power to get them home. However, Iran is a terrorist state. They are run by individuals. They are run by groups that fund terrorist organizations around the world. We should not ever negotiate with a terrorist state in terms of giving them access to money that they will then use to fund, say it with me now, terrorism. Barack Obama did this, and it did not dissuade them in any fashion. And fascinatingly, John Kirby, the spokesperson for the Pentagon, ultimately circled around and blamed the Trump administration on the necessity to unfreeze the $6 billion that they say they're going to unfreeze for the Iranians. $6 billion, that's a lot of money. I understand that American lives are in danger. I understand American lives are at stake. I also want to know who the hell are these Iranians that were given back over to them? Are they terrorists themselves? A lot of questions regarding the Biden. But the Biden administration, and I heard Hand this morning, he's exactly right. They're spending money hand over fist. In the meantime, did we not just raise the debt ceiling? Well, of course we did. But $32 trillion amongst friends, what's another trillion on top of that? What's another $24 billion to the Ukrainians? And the Ukrainians
fake.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all fake money. It's all phony money. It's money borrowed against the good faith and credit of the United States of America, money that will never be paid back. I cannot reiterate this enough. I say it often and loudly, forcefully enough that hopefully you'll remember it. Every dollar that we borrow will never, ever be paid back. It will be a burden on you, me, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, if the country survives that long. We'll never pay it back. Every dime that is added to the national debt is money that will never get paid back. We'll pay the interest on it because otherwise the facade that is the American economy will collapse if exposed. And I agree with 2850 that some of this is Biden washing money away to the Ukrainians. Zelensky knows the truth, okay? Make no mistake. Zelensky knows the involvement of the Biden family regarding Burisma, and he's using it to his advantage. And part of me doesn't blame him. He knows exactly what level of corruption Joe Biden and Hunter Biden was engaged in. All right, I'm going to take a break because I have to sneeze. It is 48 after the hour on Super. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. Is Mandis using a different perfume in this room?
You got a pee-pee too?
No, I don't have to. No, we're talking about Mandis and his perfume. Is he using a different scent?
No, I think it's still Polo for me.
Brute by Fabergé. 48 after the hour. All right, so we were talking about Craft Body Scan just a few moments ago, and I want to remind you that this is available to you. And quite simply, folks, it's an easy way to check your body to make sure that there's not something going on that you don't yet recognize. Oftentimes, with certain issues inside of our bodies, whether it's heart, lung, intestine related, anywhere from, head to feet, sometimes issues begin before we know it. We hear this quite a bit with regard to colorectal cancer. And here's the deal. They do colonoscopies virtually as well. Ask them about that when you call and schedule an appointment at Craft Body Scan. Absolutely loved my experience with Craft Body Scan, their services, the benefit of having that level of peace of mind. I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. I've become that in my older age. And so, anytime I get a little pain here or there, like, oh, here it comes. Here's the cancer. Well, I went through the paces at Craft Body Scan with a full body scan. Could not be happier. A health consultation started the experience, and then after that, it was about a 5 to 8 minute CT scan, and we reviewed with a board certified radiologist. And thankfully, I'm A-OK. I got the thumbs up. What about you? $149 for a heart and lung scan right now. Book online or on the phone. Online, it's craftbodyscan.com. That's with a C. Craftbodyscan.com. On the phone, 615-436-1000. 436-1000.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this. People buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying. And what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this. What if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing, and I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
Get your legal questions in, 615-737-9986 on the Super Text line. We'll ask them of Jay St. Clair coming up in mere moments. It's 156, Super Talk 99.7, WT, and also Friday Mac Attack on the way in the final hour of the show. And then we'll hand off to the one and only Brian Wilson and call it a weekend. I mentioned that the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is attempting to gin up more, buzz about their event, which I think is a little bit humorous considering I'm looking at some of the annual. Like in 1999, 325,000 people attended the 10-day event in total. In 2000, that jumped to 633,000 because they called it the 50. This is what I don't understand. In 2000, they had the 50th anniversary of the Sturgis Rally. And in 2015, they had the 75th anniversary of the Sturgis Rally. In 2000, they had the 50th, and in 2015, I'm not making this up.
What?
Well, nobody said that math was the strong suit of motorcyclists.
Biker community.
Biker gangs. I can only assume that at some point after 2000, somebody said, well, really, the rally started in 1940. I mean, I guess that's what they did. Anyway, in 2015, they had 739,000 people attend the 10-day event. That has dropped down into the, right around 500,000 annually. The official attendance in 2022 last year was 505,000. This year, it is ongoing as we speak. And I wish I was there. Well, I'm glad I'm here with you, but I kind of wish I was there.
I was watching the live stream. It does look pretty cool.
I mean, it is. I don't like crowds enough, man.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of people.
Boy, a lot of motorcycles, a lot of people. But if you want to get away from the crowds at the Sturgis Rally in beautiful South Dakota, just head on over to the Budweiser tent.
Here we are, Sturgis, Bud Light tent midweek. Any improvement? go. Folds of Honor is here.
Folds of Honor at the Budweiser tent.
Light tent. We're hoping business picks up a little bit, but guys, midweek, oh my goodness.
He's showing up.
Wow.
There's nobody there. Nobody.
Guys,
Nobody.
Are we seeing any uptick in business here? A little bit. Okay. Okay. All right. We're seeing. Hey, let's keep it positive, right? Let's keep it positive. Maybe by the end of the week.
So sad.
Thank you for being here.
There's nobody there.
We appreciate the hardworking employees.
You
We're
hear
covering
that?
this early on in the week, guys. Take a look. Sturgis is absolutely jam-packed. The Harley tent is packed. The BMW tent is packed. But Budweiser having a tough go.
You hear all those motorcycles. He pans across the street at these other event spaces. There are just hundreds of people, and he pans to the Budweiser space, and there is nobody. Nobody. You got to rebrand it. The
rebranding continues.
You got to call it Bud Right if you want anybody to drink it. One more hour to go. Here comes Mac Morey with the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. A sunny and clear rest of your Friday with the weekend looking partly sunny. Storms could pop in and out both days. Right now, 88 degrees on Music Row. Complete weather forecast just a few minutes away. The federal prosecutor leading the investigation into Hunter Biden has been given a new title, Special Counsel. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
This elevation of the top federal prosecutor in Delaware to special counsel status comes amid the breakdown of plea negotiations between the president's son and prosecutors. Attorney General Merrick Garland says prosecutor David Weiss asked for this move himself, and Garland says it will mean that Weiss's investigation will no longer be subject to day-to-day supervision of the Justice Department.
Crime in Tennessee, Channel 4 reporting that the TBI is investigating a fatal officer-involved shooting in Dixon County. This happened last night. An SUV was pulled over on I-40 East by the 23rd Judicial Drug Task Force, and both the driver and passenger were being searched outside of the car by officers. And when an officer went back inside or into the back of the vehicle to search the trunk, the driver then grabbed his firearm and jumped back into the car. Another officer then got into the vehicle, and that suspect then tried to grab that weapon, resulting in the officer firing at least one shot. The passenger was not hurt, and neither were any officers. Right now in Tennessee, the Tennessean says the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has launched a civil rights investigation into Vanderbilt University Medical Center.
This comes weeks after the release of transgender patients' medical records for State Attorney General Anthony Skermetti's investigation into possible medical billing fraud. Skermetti says he's not using this information to target patients or their families. His office put out a statement suggesting the federal government getting involved is just federal law enforcement weaponization over Democratic opposition to the state's ban on gender-affirming care for children. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
At the world-famous Glock store, they understand that part of their job is to find the right gun for you, especially if you're a novice or an inexperienced individual handling guns, maybe even for the first time. At the Glock store, they have incredible, helpful employees. They don't try to sell you something. They try to find the right fit for you. And then they hand you the retail side of things, will hand you off to the training side of things. And that's where things get really special. Because at the Glock store, they have specialized rooms. They call them Shoot 270 rooms. And basically, for the cost of a few range sessions, you can train every day for a year with an instructor. Now, you probably won't, but it's nice to know that you can if you wanted to. Individual shooting rooms, just you and your trainer, highly experienced, up to 4 individuals per trainer. You can shoot in multiple directions. They have it set up so that it mirrors real life as opposed to one of these shooting lanes. And they have classes available right now. Find more about that at the world-famous Glock Store website, glockstore.com, where you can find so many different accessories and whatnot, or shoot270.com. Or better yet, stop by. They're well within the range of anywhere within the sound of my voice. It's worth the drive to Airlane Drive. That's just off of Elm Hill Pike. Go by and see them and tell any of the gang at the Glock Store that Matt Murphy sent you. To McGill's world-famous Glock Store. Hello, friends. A couple of cleanup announcements. Let me clean the mess up that I have made, and we'll get on to hour number 3 and finish it up and call it a weekend as we hand off to the drive with Brian Wilson. It's 2:05, by the way. My name's Matt Murphy. David Weiss has been named a special counsel in the Hunter Biden probe, which is a little bit confusing because I didn't think that's the way that any of this worked, but, we'll see. How all of this shakes out. I believe it is by design to shut down any and all conversation about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and their connections with foreign interest and the bribery scandal that is brewing right beneath the President of the United States of America. I believe it's designed to shut down the House Oversight Committee. So as when James Comer and others call or subpoena witnesses to testify before the committee, they can say, hey, I would love to testify, but, over here, David Weiss says I can't testify because there's an ongoing investigation in the Department of Justice, and they take precedence. You have to yield to the special counsel or the special prosecutor, which I think it's a special counsel, and I believe those are two different things, and I know the person that knows the answer to that question.
Is that law or policy?
What?
That they don't have to turn over evidence or testify? Is it just a policy that they don't turn over evidence during an ongoing investigation?
No, I think I don't know the answer to that. I think Jay might, but Congress will give deference to the Department of Justice because the Department of Justice is the enforcement wing on all of this. So the Department of Justice can come arrest you. Congress has to have the Department of Justice to come arrest you for them.
I'm just curious the legalese on that, because you know how sometimes police will say, well, it's our policy. Well, that's not a law. There's a difference. And I'm just wondering if they're giving deference or if they're required by law to give deference.
I don't know the answer to that, but maybe Jay St. Clair does. If he doesn't, I know that he has a good answer anyway, because he always does. Before we get to him, however, 2 things. One, I mentioned that I thought Brian was out for a funeral today, and actually he is in, and we'll talk to Brian in about 40 minutes or so. He's gearing up for the drive with Brian Wilson from 3 until 7 this afternoon, so my bad. I must have misunderstood. Secondarily, several of you have asked, yes, my motorcycle trip in September, I'm off the first week of September, and my motorcycle trip was originally, someone asked me, weren't you going to Sturgis? I was originally going to Sturgis, not during the rally, but after the rally. I would never go during the rally. God bless you, I got no interest in being in a town fit for 10,000 where there's 750,000 people. No interest whatsoever. But we were driving up there. My brother and I were going for a bike trip, and we've now rerouted. In the time allotment, it's 1,350 miles one way. So that's 2,700 miles, if I can do math. And that's a little much for the time allotment. So we've rerouted, and I think we're going Natchez Trace, which I'm very excited. We'll leave Nashville, do the entire trace through Tupelo, down into Mississippi, and then eventually on to New Orleans, baby, where the Men are men, and the streets are filled with
filth,
pee and vomit. Hey, you know what today is?
What?
It's Friday. I love that some of you are already peppering me with things that you want to tell Jay St. Clair, like Larry just wrote in and said, if Jay will sign a non-compete, I'll ride in his badass Corvette. Why would he sign a non-compete to do that? I don't understand that. Jay St. Clair joins us on the show, as he does make a weekly visit with us. Hey, Jay, how are you?
If I was any better, I would be Bale, and life would be good.
Man, he's got it going on.
You are much better off than I am.
If you were better.
Oh, and by the way, we've named your WTN fans now. They're called the Jaybirds.
Yeah,
I like that.
You have a fan club, and they have decided for themselves. I suggested the Jayheads. Nobody liked the Jayheads. They liked the Jaybirds better. So we got the Jaybirds.
No, I like Jay. Yep. Now my brother-in-law used to love to call me Jaybird, and he made up a little poem about it. It was Jaybird, sitting in the cedar, drawback, pop him in the, and then I'll stop right there.
That's my grandpa used to sing a song talking about skeeters and something that rhymed with skeeters.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, Jay, I'll tell you, life in the law. I mean, it must be pretty good for you lawyers out there nowadays.
I love it. You know, I love what I do, man. I absolutely love it. And every day is something new, and it's fun.
So I have given my assessment of all of this and why it's happening the way it's happening, and it is a blend of political and legal. So I've given the political take on it. I think it's just it's a dog and pony show to stop the oversight committee. But tell me, from a legal perspective, what in the heck is going on?
Well, I don't know, to be honest with you. Practically speaking, it's absolutely no difference, right? I mean, Weiss was the prosecutor before and will still be the prosecutor now. And, what power does he have as a special prosecutor, right? And I want to get it here. I want to read it exactly right. And he has all of the powers of a regular United States attorney.
Okay.
You know what his job was?
What, wasn't he a United States attorney?
He was a United States attorney.
Golly, I simultaneously. You say you love your job. Some days I hate my job. Some days are better than others. But I mean, oh my goodness. So the United States attorney that Merrick Garland empowered to engage in this investigation of Hunter Biden,
right,
has now been made a special prosecutor.
Yeah, and so he now has all the powers of a United States attorney. You can't make this stuff up, Matt.
So do you think this is does this give, and this might be more my world than yours, but does it give a level of cover? So now when James Comer on the Oversight Committee says, hey, we want, Hunter Biden to come testify before the Oversight Committee, and he goes, no, I can't do that. I'm being investigated by a special prosecutor.
No, I don't think it does, man, because they already had that in place, and that's part of why the plea deal blew up. We actually ended up not talking about that when it happened. So they already, because the judge asked them on that day that they would take the plea agreement, is there any ongoing investigation? And they said, oh, yeah. So they already had that play running. You don't need special counsel for that to happen, man.
Okay.
And to answer your question earlier, Bill, about does the law prohibit Congress from interfering. Let's say interfering or running a simultaneous investigation with the Department of Justice. No, it's not the law. There's no specific law that says that. It is more a matter of practice, and it's like Matt says. Well, DOJ just says no. We are not going to come testify about an ongoing criminal investigation. Right? Congress has the power to do any investigation they want to. The Constitution doesn't limit that. But they really, as a matter of comedy, C-O-M-I-T-Y, not comedy, C-O-M-E-D-Y, will say, okay, we're not going to get in the way of a criminal investigation. But it's not a law. So they already had that in place. But, man, I don't know what it does. And what I particularly don't know, and you've asked me this question, some smart person sent this to you. Well, ICE is the current United States attorney, right?
Right.
He works for the government.
Right.
Well, I'm reading here the qualifications of special counsel.
Mm-hmm.
For those, somebody was Cameron, I think last week was asking for a citation. It's let me see. Let me get the right code number.
While you're getting the code, I want to give the hat tip out to my good friend Steve Abramowitz over at Mill Creek View Podcast. He's the one that sent that to me, and I think he's. Yep. I mean, he wanted you to speak to it, and I think it's a good point of order.
Yep. No, and so it's got all the qualifications. You got to be smart. You had to go to the University of Tennessee for college and the Yale Law School. And it says the special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. I mean, can these people not read? I mean,
he works. He's a United States attorney. Right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's within the United States government. So he's not even qualified. He doesn't meet the bare qualifications for special counsel, man. It's bizarre. It's odd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it now too, Jay. Well, why are we the only one? I'm looking. I got monitors on, and everybody's talking about this, and I don't hear anybody saying, "Hey, you know and once again, hat tip to Steve. 600.3. It's 28 CFR 600.3 qualifications of special counsel, and as you just read it, Jay, and I'll do it again. This, and like you said, it doesn't say anything about Tennessee. Everybody, don't.
That was funny. That was funny. An individual named as special counsel shall be a lawyer with a reputation for integrity and impartial decision-making, and with appropriate experience to ensure both that the investigation will be conducted ably, expeditiously, and thoroughly, and the investigation and prosecutorial decisions will be supported by an informed understanding of the criminal law and the Department of Justice policies. That's what we teach at UT.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then it goes on to say, the special counsel shall be selected from outside the United States government. Huh.
You know why? Because you're going to give him the authority of a United States attorney. You can't be just going around giving willy-nilly power to the United States attorney. The safe thing to do is get a United States attorney and then give him the powers of a United States attorney.
Well,
that solves a lot of problems.
So that means that this is optics.
Absolutely. It's total window dressing. It's no substantive change whatsoever. And let me tell you, that plea agreement deal stank to high heaven, man. We didn't get a chance to talk about all that. But in a nutshell, here's the deal. They were trying to pull the wool over the judge's eyes. They were giving him blanket immunity going forward, after he pleaded to these little piddly things. But that was not in the plea agreement they gave the government, that gave the judge, man. They tried to hide it in another document. And it's absolute blanket immunity. And the judge smelled the rat and figured it out.
Well, and what I love about that, and you're right, I'm curious what your take was when you. So they come to the judge and they say, hey, Judge, we've got this plea agreement, and we think, he's going to go to diversionary programs and all of that. And the judge says, okay, well, and the investigation's over. Oh, no, the investigation's not over. We're still investigating.
Right.
Well, but wait a minute. Right. But I noticed here, you tried to hide it, but I noticed here you're offering him full immunity.
Mm-hmm.
but you haven't finished the investigation.
Yeah,
And
those two don't fit together.
And those two don't match because I said it earlier, Jay. Sadly, when you deal with Hunter Biden, you might come up with a dead prostitute somewhere or another. What happens if hypothetically there's a dead prostitute that shows up and you've already offered this dude blanket immunity? I mean, the judge was having, and we ought to applaud that judge, and we haven't done so for catching that and saying, no, y'all need to go figure this thing out because we're not doing this.
I bet she went to UT and then the Yale Law School.
So functionally, nothing happens except they continue to try to, they're trying to play out to the end of the game, right? They're trying to get to zeros on the clock.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Just running the clock. And keep this in mind, man. They say, well, okay, no, deal's off. He's going to trial. He's not going to trial. Anytime they want to, the government can drop these charges against him. And Weiss can do that, whether he's U.S. attorney or special counsel or what's that song? Ray Stevens of the Shriners. What was his title?
The Shriners Convention.
Yeah, but what was his title? He was the Grand Poobah.
Oh yeah, he was a grand potentate.
That's it. Well, so whether he is U.S. attorney, special counsel, or grand potentate, if he wants to drop the charges, he can drop the charges, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
So your astute prediction, well, not prediction, it's an observation, that if the prosecution led by the quote-unquote special counsel, who is also a U.S. attorney, and those are the same, they have the same authority, appointed by Merrick Garland, can take this to trial if he desires, or conversely, could drop all charges.
Here's my prediction. Nick Saban will be the head coach at the University of Tennessee before the Biden Justice Department takes Hunter Biden to trial.
Wow. All right, Jay, quick timeout, and I've got a lot of questions in a compressed amount of time because a lot of you have sent your questions in via the Super Text line. Do so, 615-737-9986. It's Friday, everybody, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I cannot get enough of this alderwood smoked sea salt from Savory Spice. I absolutely love it on just about everything. I'm on a diet regime, and you can have some eggs in the morning, couple of eggs in the morning, and I made up those eggs in the pan and put some of that sea salt on it, and it was fabulous. You up your food game when you up your spice game, and you up your spice game from Savory Spice. If you've got clumped up old spices in the back of your cabinet and you're using them, you're doing it wrong. Go to Savory Spice, 2 locations to serve you. Holly and David are happy to assist. And oh, by the way, they can help make your cooking better. Guys, if you're looking to cook a little special something, if you want to get in with the lady of your life, cook her dinner. And if you want to know how to cook dinner, go to talk to Holly or David at Savory Spice. They have some pre-done things where all you have to do is add the meat and add the veggies and add all of the other stuff. And they have all of the spices pre-made for you for a delicious meal. It's right there at Savory Spice. 2 locations, I mentioned that. L&L Market, right in Nashville on Charlotte Pike. Also, right off the square in Franklin, next to Gray's Pharmacy. When you stop by, check out that alderwood sea salt. I think you'll enjoy it as well. And be sure to tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice.
David Weiss elevated a special counsel an investigation into Hunter Biden, a fatal officer-involved shooting in Wilson County, plus a tragic event on one of the buses of migrants sent to cities nationwide, paid for by Texas. That and more, 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Maury. Also coming up just after the news at the bottom of the hour, 2:30, a Friday Mac attack that is on the way in about 10 minutes or so. Can't wait. Mac Maury actually, I forgot to tell you, Bill, and I'll get Jay in here on this one too. So Mac Maury, last week we had Friday Mac attack, and Mac came on the air, and I said, okay, it's Friday Mac attack. Yay. We built it up. And I said, what you got, Mac? And Mac said, I got nothing. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it. So bright and early this morning, Maury texted me, and he said, hey, are we doing Friday Mac attack? And I said, yeah, right after Jay at 2:30. He goes, okay, because I got something today. It's like, well, isn't that nice? It's your segment of the show. You should have something. Jay, we have been corrected, and it is my duty to offer a sincere apology to all of the listeners that have posted on the super text line the correction. Are you ready for the correction, Jay?
Yes, sir.
It is the illustrious potentate. The illustrious potentate.
Yeah, I thought it was more complicated.
So you got a couple of questions here, and I want to let me see if I can get over to some of the ones that I've prepped for, because a lot of people are sending them in early. So, question for Jay. I work for a delivery contractor. I've been told to continue to drive a truck that the wheel was trying to fall off of. So he's got faulty equipment on his truck, caused the brakes to go out, was told that try to make it back to the garage. I've reported to management safety issues, and I've been told to go to the extent of harassing management to keep them informed if I want it to be addressed. Gone weeks at a time with tires out of specification. I also had to drive a truck with a misfire in the engine for more than a year. Requests for repairs are ignored. Do I have a case of a violation of labor rights due to unsafe working conditions?
No, I mean, not really. You could file a complaint with OSHA, although I'm not sure they have jurisdiction over rolling stock. But you haven't lost your job. If they had fired you for making those complaints, yes, you'd have a claim. But, I mean, as things stand right now, I don't think you got a legal claim, right? I mean, they put you in an unsafe potential, but the potential has not been realized. And they haven't taken any the job actions against you. So, I mean, you're just basically saying my company's mean to me. Well, you can't really, that's not a claim. That's just one of those unfortunate facts of life.
2936 says, why are jaybirds always naked? Naked as a jaybird.
Oh, naked as a jaybird. I forgot about that. Well, we're a proud breed. Some places we're known as bank walkers.
I want to know the answer. Why? I'm going to try to figure this out while you're making stuff up. Why do we say naked as a jaybird? I'm very curious about the answer to this question. Someone wants to know if, and see, everybody's being cute with you today, Jay, and I like that. Someone wants to know, can I sue a paper company if I get a paper cut? This is so good. I love this question because I know exactly. 20 years has taught me exactly. Jay, can I sue a paper company for a paper cut when their packaging did not warn me about a paper cut?
Absolutely. It takes two things to file a lawsuit, Matt. A crayon and $250. It takes a crayon to write out the lawsuit and $250 to file it.
Yep.
So it's the way you ask the question. What you're really asking me is, if I file this lawsuit, will I get any money? And I'll say this. I mean, if you can get millions from McDonald's for pouring a cup of coffee in your lap, then that paper cut ought to be worth $5,000.
Have you? I know you probably have over the many years that you've been studying all of this, but I did a dive on that, and it was a little bit of a different story than
there was a lot more to that case. I think that the coffee was too hot. They'd been warned about it. They knew they had a health hazard, and they didn't manage it.
And that woman got third-degree burns.
It was it was a bad injury.
And
the coffee was much hotter than it should have been.
Well, I think I remember this correctly. It was because it was a McDonald's in a high-traffic area in L.A., and people were people complained to the McDonald's that their coffee was cold by the time they got to the office. And so they raised the temperature, and the coffee that they were serving out of their drive-through window was almost 200 degrees.
Right.
I think I remember that
right.
exactly right.
No, you're remembering exactly right, and I shouldn't have made fun of that. But at the time, right,
but you're right.
It was the poster child.
Yeah, it was frivolous because the jury awarded her, I think, like I don't know how many millions of dollars. But
right.
All right, Jay, I have our answer. Why do we say naked as a jaybird?
I'm dying to know.
In the 1920s and 30s, jaybird was short for jailbird.
Oh.
And when they were brought in from the bus, they had to go take off all of their clothes. They had to go to the showers. They were given their kit and made to walk from one end of the prison to the other naked before they got to their cell to put on their clothes. Hence, naked as a jaybird. How about that?
That is fascinating.
Love that.
I love that, too.
Well, Jay, I'm sad to note that we got Friday Mac Attack coming up, so that's gonna limit us in our time. But you know how much I love it, brother.
No, I miss you, brother. We got to we got to go play a game of chance.
No, I love it. I got some dice in my pocket. I'm ready to go.
Perfect.
All right, we'll see you. Take care. There's Jay St. Clair joining us for a good 30 minutes. Coming up, Friday Mac Attack, your telephone calls as well. That's right after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.231, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 89 degrees today, a sunny, clear day this Friday, and expected to see some of the same Saturday and Sunday, but there are a chance both days for some scattered showers. Full weather forecast in 2 minutes. Attorney General Merrick Garland has elevated Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss to a special counsel as Weiss continues his investigation into President Biden's son, Hunter. Jay O'Brien has more from the White House.
In a press conference Friday, the Attorney General saying the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, asked to become a special counsel.
That in his judgment, his investigation had reached a stage at which he should continue his work as a special counsel, and he asked to be so appointed.
Weiss's elevation comes after a plea deal with Biden publicly fell apart last month and is considered a sign that the investigation, which includes a probe into the president's son's overseas business dealings, is far from over.
Crime in Wilson County. TBI investigating a deputy-involved fatal shooting last night. Deputies killed 60-year-old Kevin Walter Withrow after he allegedly denied commands to put down a firearm. Withrow died at the scene. No officers were injured. And a tragic event on one of the buses of migrants sent to cities nationwide, paid for by Texas. Alex Stone.
One day after Texas Governor Greg Abbott went on social media to tout the numbers of migrants moved by bus to other cities, saying he has sent over 10,000 to Washington, D.C., 11,000 to New York, and nearly 5,000 to Chicago, saying he will continue busing migrants out of Texas to sanctuary cities. Now the Illinois Department of Public Health says a 3-year-old child has died on one of those buses en route to Chicago. The department says it's investigating to get answers on how the child died on that bus.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Mark is crazy, man. He is always getting brand new shipments of Browning and Liberty safes, amongst others, at Nashville Safe House. And he's got more in stock than you can shake a stick at. But here's the great thing. I mean, he's constantly selling them because all of you know where to buy a safe in Middle Tennessee, really all of Tennessee, really all of the Southeast. Mark is the biggest dealer of safes in the Southeast, really in the country or the world. And it's all because of the deals that he gives you. He is straightforward with you on the cost of delivery. He doesn't let crackheads deliver your safe. These are good people that understand the combination and understand how to operate it. And by the way, it's what Mark does. He does safes. He does, biometric locks that go in your bedside. He does vault doors. That's what he does. He's not one of these big guys that has like 4 safes in the corner and wouldn't know the combination if it hit him on the head. It's what he does, safes. And now they got a brand new shipment of Brownings, a brand new shipment of Liberties that just came in, and you need to see these things. Ask Mark if those rebates are still available to you. I don't know when those go out. They were going, well, Mark will know. Just ask Mark when you visit the Safe House. Go to NashvilleSafehouse.com. That's NashvilleSafehouse.com. Or visit them on 4th Avenue South, right across from City Cemetery. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. B-Dub's coming up at 3 o'clock today. That would be Brian Wilson in The Drive. We'll talk with him about what we can expect. He's going to slip in here in about 10 minutes or so. I'm most excited to hear how's everything going. I mean, yesterday seemed pretty good, right? I mean, Brian was back yesterday after a little heart procedure, and everything seemed A-okay. I hope the big question that I have for Brian Wilson is, was he ever able to roll over on his side?
Is his crotch sore? Yeah.
It's owning me.
That was hilarious.
Before you say a word, can we just please play this, sir? It's time for Friday Back Attack. Yeah. You. It is Friday Mac Attack, our opportunity to have our illustrious newsman let his hair down a little bit on a Friday afternoon.
What hair?
Although Used to be a lot more hair than it is now. I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How about Hannah? Hannah like it?
She's a fan. At first, she was like, "Who is this?" And now she likes it.
Now she's behind it.
Yeah, she's a fan.
You, I don't want to get in front of Friday Mac Attack because it's your segment after all. But I'm getting pretty excited about football.
Ooh, let's go! Titans tomorrow.
Come on, Titans Bears. I could not be more excited. I mean, I'm so excited about having a new team. I'm all in.
Yes.
I'm all in. I told the story that, when DeAndre Hopkins signed, I was physically and verbally excited by myself in my car driving back from Alabama. I was like, yeah!
It changes the whole outlook of the team and the whole season. And it's awesome. And now you get, and frankly, new franchise for you to root for, and also a new team for even Titans fans of 20 years. This team is new. Like, there's going to be a lot of young players, a lot of players they haven't watched a lot of, guys who were on the team maybe last year, but now are going to be starting. Like, it's going to be fun.
As a new Titans man, it will be our honor to make our way to the AFC Championship game and get our asses kicked by the Chiefs.
And there it is. And there it is. We'd love that, yeah.
There's so many good teams in the AFC. It's ridiculous.
Stacked. It's stacked.
I mean, who knows what the Jets are going to do? This is not a football segment, by the way. I apologize. We're not. We shouldn't be talking about sports at all.
You're going to get me. You're going to unravel me. No, it's crazy. Yeah, if you take the top 10 teams in the NFL, I bet 7 of them are AFC teams. 7 of them easily.
I mean, who would be the teams in the NFC? San Francisco is supposedly really good.
49ers, yep.
And
the Eagles.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They made the Super Bowl.
Eagles, yeah.
And then the Dallas Cowboys. Those would be the only 3 teams. And then it's the Cowboys.
Yeah, whatever. They'll crap out.
Yeah, the divisional round, bye-bye. Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, and then congratulations to the University of Tennessee. I see another 10-2 season on your horizon. Don't you?
Yeah, actually.
Would 10-2 be
I'd be stoked.
Be all right.
I'd be fine on 10-2.
Second 10. I mean, you lose to. I mean, I'm not saying this because I'm a Georgia boy,
but you lose to
Georgia
and at Alabama.
That's going to be tough.
It'll be really hard.
They're looking
2 years in a row,
and they're looking for revenge, baby. They are looking for.
Oh, Saban's going to have those boys so ready for that game.
All right, so that's enough football. What do you got, Mac Morey?
We got some baseball here. So this is so.
I hope Dan Mandis is in the bubble bath. Anyway,
no. So this is less about sports, but really a broadcaster. So this is kind of tangential to radio. I figured you'd know about this.
Yes.
This is about a week or so old, but we don't get to talk about this sort of stuff on WTN except for Friday Mac Attack. And this is Kevin Brown, 33-year-old play-by-play announcer for the Baltimore Orioles, one of the young and up-and-coming guys in this business, widely respected in the MLB. He worked his way up through AAA, AA, and he got to the gig, man. He is the guy for the Orioles, and he's awesome.
Yes.
Great.
Congratulations.
Seriously.
So early, be showcasing your talent. Way to go, buddy.
Way to go.
Way to go.
And you're on an exciting team. Baltimore Orioles, I don't know a lot about baseball. I know that they have sucked for my whole life. This year, no, not the case. The Orioles are good. They're fun. They're young. They're winning games. They're in the front row of their division. So they're playing the Tampa Bay Rays last week. They have been bad against the Rays. And as any play-by-play announcer should do, they should provide context, information to your listeners, which are fans.
And call the baby ugly when it's time to call the baby ugly.
Yep.
That's what you expect of an honest announcer.
Spade a spade, exactly.
This has not been going well for us.
So he's providing context. They're playing the Tampa Bay Rays. And, Bell, let's just play the clip. Kevin Brown got suspended after this. This is what happened.
Okay.
Sounds good.
What? Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Was the music there all the time? It was a little distracting.
Sorry.
But no. So he said it like it was. historically, we have had a bad time with the Rays. But hey, man, we got at least a split. We can get a series victory, and he got suspended for that.
Suspended for that. Yep, suspended a whole week. And the MLB did not let it go quietly. Every night you watch, there's a play-by-play guy going, Kevin Brown, what a great guy in our business. The Orioles should be ashamed of themselves.
The team suspended him.
The team, not the MLB, the Baltimore Orioles.
When I'm so glad you brought this story up, because when this story popped up in my news feed, announcer gets suspended for the broadcast, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, no. He said, he made some weird comment.
He didn't know his mic was hot.
He said something about somebody's pronoun, whatever.
Yeah.
It was some stupid thing, and the woke culture grabbed him and got him, and cancel culture snapped him. And then I lited, and I listened twice.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, what did I miss?
I missed something.
I must have missed something. And that was it. He wasn't even critical of the Orioles.
No. Just listen, this has been a team that we've struggled against. Here it is. We're 2 and whatever. But hey, it's split this time, and we can win. And boom, you're gone. You don't talk bad about our franchise, who's, by the way, again, providing context, have been a terrible organization for 2+ decades.
It would be akin to who's the Tennessee play-by-play guy? Do you know?
I don't know. Mike Keith for the Titans, though. We could do Mike Keith.
Sorry, Titans. But yeah, for Mike Keith, we expect that Mike Keith. And I don't know Mike, but I would think if he was sitting here, he would say the same, that, look, I'm going to call it like it is.
Yeah.
And if another team has had our number, there's an expectation that he's just going to be honest with us. And now we know he's rooting for the Titans.
Of course.
But that doesn't mean that we can't say what we see. It's not like, what is he supposed to say? That a couple of years ago, Ryan Tannehill didn't have a sucky game against the Cincinnati? You're right.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Well, apparently that's exactly what he's supposed to do from now on. You're just supposed to pretend that bad things don't happen with any team.
It's all good. Yeah, we're fine. It's okay.
That's awesome.
The Cowboys don't choke.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the great thing. Kevin Brown. See, would we know who Kevin Brown? I wouldn't have.
No.
I would not know.
I wouldn't have
who this guy is.
No.
But now, I bet you he has been showered with love and support.
He has.
And like you say, Major League Baseball just. And
hopefully there's somebody out there that's calling him up going, hey, you want to come somewhere you're appreciated?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm betting so. And I bet National is in this guy's future. Again, only 33 years old. He returns from that suspension tonight for the Orioles game. So I'm sure everyone's going to be super pumped to have him back. I'm kind of curious to see how he opens up.
Has he had to apologize?
He didn't.
I wonder if they make him apologize tonight when he comes back on the air.
They've got so much backlash.
That would be. You know what? It's almost worth finding it just to see.
That's what I want. Yeah.
Because do you just act like nothing happened?
Yeah. At this point, if they're smart, they just put him back on the air and they shut up.
Okay. So if you're Orioles management and you see that this is clapped back on you big time from a public relations standpoint, what do you tell them to do? Just pretend like nothing happened? What do you do? I know.
Oh, it's so hard. You have to mention it. You've got people listening to 182 games of your coverage.
Do you?
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, they've got their
diehards,
their hardcores that are listening, and those hardcores are probably fans of his too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I'm just going to ask you if you have anything else to offer, because I'm going to say something that's going to get me in trouble.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think it would be ridiculous if he came back and they never mentioned the fact that he'd been gone.
Yeah, he has to say.
What company would do that? Anyway, what else you got? You got a world record or something or another to get me out of this hole that I dug?
Okay, we got a world record.
Quickly, man.
Okay,
quickly.
We got the world's largest living crocodile.
1800.
How big is this crocodile? It's in Australia. Now, let me just...
Living.
1,800 feet.
Living crocodile and crocodile in captivity.
1,800 pounds.
So it's the largest living crocodile in captivity.
In captivity.
27 feet.
That's too big, I think. I'm going to say 23 feet.
17 feet, almost 18 feet.
Okay, see, I hate it when I always, if I'm on your side, that sucks, doesn't it?
It's the worst.
That's the worst. When you're like,
womp, okay. Not as cool as I thought it was.
Like, how many Legos did this guy stack on top of his head? And you're like, I don't know, 400. 40. But whatever, I thought it was impressive until you said 400. 17 feet?
17 feet.
That doesn't seem that bad. That's a big crocodile.
It's a big crocodile. I mean, they usually grow to 7.
Do you have I have a friend who has a genuine phobia of alligators and crocodiles. Like not they freak me out and I don't want to get near one. I mean, that's just common sense. But a genuine phobia. Do you have any genuine phobias, do you think? Or anything that comes to that level? Like, Jay St. Clair.
Yeah.
Genuine phobia of heights.
If he's in
Same here.
Height. Okay. Heights. Okay.
Like he could not make himself look over the Hoover Dam when we were at the Hoover Dam together. I mean, I watched him
shaking.
He wanted to, but his body would start shaking and he would pull away.
That happens to me when I'm looking at pictures of heights.
Wow.
Oh man, I got to send you something.
Yeah, I got nothing. Do you? You got something like that? I don't think nothing like that.
The closest thing is spiders. I
like them.
I do not like spiders. I don't want spiders. And if a spider comes near, I feel like spiders have some sort of awareness, like they have consciousness that they don't really have. that I ascribe, like they're always plotting on how to like run up my pant leg and bite me.
This is
and while
more
he's
than
asleep
a phobia.
in bed, they're crawling in his mouth and in his nose.
And my favorite statistic, my favorite statistic of all time is that, and it's true. You can look it up. Don't trust me. That at any moment in your life, on average, you're within 4 feet of a spider.
Ugh. Hate that. Well, you're doing pretty good then for your phobia.
What's that? Now, the caveat is that most of them are very, very small.
Tiny, yeah.
They're teeny. It's not like we're dealing with tarantulas over here. But yeah, I couldn't get through the movie. Remember, you need to go find the William Shatner. I think it's called, what is it called, Bell? Tarantula?
I can't. I'll have to look.
You know the one I'm talking about?
I know the one you're talking about.
Where at the end of it, they've been the entire city's in a web in a cocoon. Oh yeah, it's bad.
Whoa.
Oh, it's bad. It's much worse than arachnophobia.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
Interesting.
Bad news. All right, as time allows, we'll check in with Brian Wilson. That's Friday Mac Attack, everybody. That's how we get it done.
Woo!
Thank you, Mac.
Of course. Thank
Appreciate you bringing that to the table. We'll wrap up and say hey to Brian Wilson coming up next.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997wtn.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.